Hello scholars, Mrs. Kendrick here. Today this is going to be a very short video showing you how to divide decimals. This is going to be the basics. This is going to help you just in case you were a little confused during our Zoom meeting, or if maybe possibly you missed it, you can always look at this video to help you out if needed. Okay, so I'm going to go through these topics kind of quickly. I'm just going to do one example each. However, feel free to pause it and review it and go over it many times if you need to. Don't forget what we talked about during our first week is to make sure that you guys are taking notes and really being active in, pausing the video and going over it and doing all the things that you need to do that are going to help you understand the topics better. Okay? All right. So we are dividing decimals, and there's two things you need to know. You need to know, first of all, when you divide decimals by whole numbers, how that process goes. Very easy. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that this decimal goes straight up. If you are dividing a decimal number by a whole number, your first step is to bring the decimal straight up. Please bring it straight up. You're not putting it at the end or anywhere else. It needs to be straight up from where it is. Then you start your dividing. So then we're going to do our long division just like we have learned before in the past. Does 3 go into 3? Yes, it does. It goes one time. So I'm going to put my number 1 right on top of there. What is 1 times 3? 1 times 3 equals 3. And then you subtract. Okay? 3 minus 3, that's going to equal 0. Then you need to bring down the next number. 3 goes into 9 3 times. If you notice, I'm dividing the 9 by the 3, so this needs to go above the 9. Please make sure you keep your spaces and your numbers where they should go. If you are, not as organized or maybe a tiny bit sloppy, then you want to be careful, because if you do, you're going to end up with numbers that don't make sense because you're not going to be able to read your own writing. Anyways, make sure that that number goes above the number that you are dividing. 3 times 3 is what? 9. So 9 minus 9 equals 0. Then you're going to drop down the next number, and we're going to put a 6 here. 3 goes into 6 how many times, right? Because you're doing now 6 divided by 3. That goes in there 2 times, because 2 times 3 is 6. And I write that there and subtract. I do not have any remainders. You shouldn't have any remainders, or if you do, you need to continue to add zeros. I don't believe that will be in our homework. If it does, ask me maybe during homework hour, and I can help you with some of those that are a little bit more difficult. But I believe these are the problems that we're going to have on our homework, so I'm just going to go over these types. That is our answer there, 132. Now we need to go over dividing decimals by decimals, because this process is just a little bit different. If you're dividing a decimal by a decimal number, this number here cannot have a decimal in it. So you need to move that decimal over until you have created a whole number. So I'm going to move it over to the right so that I can have now 32 instead of 3.2. But if you do that with the whole number, then you also, with this decimal, you have to do it also with the 1 inside the little divide sign. Okay, so you move this over. If you move it over 1 time, then you move this decimal over 1 time as well. Let's say we needed to move it 3 or 4 times, then you would move this one 3 or 4 times as well. Okay, then after you have moved it, you have to bring the decimal to the top. Moving the decimals and bringing the decimal to the top is something you must do before you start your dividing. If not, it's going to get confusing and your decimal might be in the wrong place. You can give me correct dividing, but if the decimal's in the wrong place, then it is technically still a wrong answer. Keep that in mind. Now we've done that, now we can do our dividing. So now I can do 32. Does 32 go into 6? It does not, so I'm going to move on. Does 32 go into 64? It does, 2 times. So I'm going to write a 2 right up there. If you didn't know that, you would need to do your multiplying, your scratch paper on the side in order to figure out how many times 32 goes into 64. I just happen to know it's just double that number. Okay? 2 times 32 equals 64, and I'm going to minus. Then I'm going to bring down the 3. Does 32 go into 3? It does not. So we are going to write what? A 0 here. You need to make sure you write your 0 there. If not, if you write 32 goes into 32 one time up here, not okay, you guys. That's going to be a wrong answer. You need to do it number by number. But now, since we know that it does not go into 3, we can drop down the 2, but we need to put our placeholder there, the 0. Does 32 go into 32? Yes, it does, one time. Then we can write 32, and we don't have a remainder. Okay? Hopefully this video helps you out. Again, don't forget, scholars, take notes. My example should be written down on your pieces of paper now, or on your notebook, or wherever you're keeping your notes. You should be writing down all the different steps as well. Don't forget, pause when you need to, rewind when you need to, do what you need to do, which is going to help you during this distance learning time. Okay? All right, you guys. That is all I have for today. I hope this is helpful for your homework, and I will see you probably in class. Have a good day.